Returning to one of our top stories now, and it is the fact that the New South Wales Premier is asking industry to get ready for the easing of restrictions once 70% vaccination targets are met. And joining us live now is the Executive Chairman of Yellow Brick Road Home Loans, Mark Bouris. Mark, good to see you. Just apologies in advance, Mark, too, because we are standing by to go live to the US President, who's going to be giving remarks on the ongoing situation in Afghanistan. So apologies there if we have to break away. But first of all, I just want to get your thoughts on that shift that appears to be on at the moment, particularly from the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian, that small business in general, can get going once 70% vax targets are reached.
Well, that's quite an important change in the narrative. And if you're a small business owner or a business owner generally, you've got to start to read the signs. And one of the signs is that perhaps we're going to go back to business in October or some period very close to that, which tells you something really important, Peter. You've got to start getting ready, strategise. How am I going to take advantage of what's going to occur in a month's time? Look, it's easy to dwell on the issues right now and the difficulties about getting, your permits and all that sort of stuff. I get all that. But you also got to start to strategise about what am I going to do a month's time.
It's a good point you make, because once doors open up, the bills start coming in. So what state will so many small businesses be in once the tap of financial support is turned off?
Well, once a financial support's turned off, it's going to be in a dreadful state. And there's only one thing you can do. You can't sort of say, oh, government, give me some more money, because they won't. Well, they might, but at this stage, you've got to assume they won't. So therefore, you've got to work out, how do I harvest as much as I possibly can? How can I harvest as much revenue as I possibly can? So you've got to start strategising now how you're going to do it. And let's just not forget something. Beginning of this calendar year, when everyone came back from holidays and all that sort of stuff, the market took off. Property market took it off. Real estate agents went well. Hairdressers were booked out for long periods of time. Nail salons, etc. Everybody was going really well. So you don't want to be caught on the hop. Then you don't want to be caught saying, "Oh wow, I wish I had got ready for this." Because my feeling is, once it opens up, the pent-up demand will really hit us hard, and then we're going to be put in a position. We're going to say, "Oh, we can't get enough supplies. We're not ready to take this forward." So it's not a time to be sort of thinking about how tough it is. It's now a time to think about what am I going to do when it starts to open up again. Assume it's going to be good.
So what do you do, Mark? How do you get those? How do you get your ducks in a row, if I can put it that way?
Well, it's a mindset thing. Like, for a start, right now we're in the quagmire, mate. We're just, it's very easy to wake up in the morning and say, "Shit, look, how bad are things? Like, I can't get my permit, blah blah blah." Yeah. Start to change your mindset. You've got to change your mindset. And I know it sounds easy for me to say, but you've got to start changing your mindset. You've got to start access things like the small business loans that the federal government is now sponsoring. So the federal government's changed the small business loan qualifications. So you can start talk to your bank, I need some money. And maybe the government, we need to start talking to government too. We've got to start putting pressure on our MPs, our local MPs, state government ones, to talk to the small business minister, Tudor Hope, or talk to the Premier, whoever it is they're going to talk to, about what sort of initiatives can the government give us to get back to work. For example, should I start to have these rapid antigen tests in my business so I can prove that everyone who works for me is okay? And if I can't afford it, should the government start put up some small amounts of loans, or like a $2,000 grant for every business who agrees to use the rapid antigen test for the first 3 months, and that the government gives us $2,000, a grant, $2,000 to go and buy them.
No, that's a good point to make. Great point to make, Mark, because there had been some suggestions when it comes to rapid antigen testing, and there are some sectors, some businesses that already have that in place. But I mean, some people have told me this week that small business is just not going to be in a financial state to be able to afford rapid antigen testing. So is that the answer to that, that the federal government or state governments have a duty to be able to offer those to businesses?
Both. A, they're going to make it available. B, they've got to show them how to do it. There's got to be some sort of tutorial somewhere to teach them how to do it. And 3, they've got to give them a grant, give them some money, assistance, financial assistance, on the basis that they'll do rapid antigen testing, on the basis that they will have QR codes. Like they cover all the qualifications off. And that's an incentive for small businesses to start doing this sort of stuff. And by the way, that'll overall help the whole health issue. I mean, health should be behind this. The Minister for Health should be behind this, not just the small business minister and Dominello, etc., the Premier, but the Minister for Health should be pushing for this.
This should already have
another
been
example.
done.
And it's, yeah, but you know what? The problem is they don't understand what a small business person is going through. They don't know that a small business can't afford the couple of $1,000 or the $1,000 that it takes to go and get these things. And it's a simple gesture, $1,000 or $2,000, even if they make it like it's an interest-free loan, and you don't have to repay it back for 2 years or something along those lines, or we'll take it out of your next income tax bill, or we'll take it out of your next GST payment, or whatever. Come up with some sort of initiative to say to people, please do this rapid antigen testing, and if you do that, we're going to start to open up the joint.
Really good point. Just finally, Mark, too, I mean, you got the government announcing yesterday that next month people will be able to gather in parks. Fully vaccinated people will be able to gather in parks as up to 5 people. Now, is there a loophole here, or do you believe that there should be a push to allow some businesses to be able to function? I know that, you know, some hairdressers are talking about the fact that, well, if people are allowed to gather in parks, why can't we cut someone's hair out in the open? Shouldn't that be fair enough?
This is another reason, and I've been talking about it for a long time, banging on about it, why the business owners should be represented with a seat at the table, sitting there with all the politicians and making all the calls on this, to do exactly what you just said. For example, it's just an idea, but hairdressers, if they were agreed to wear like a long sleeve plastic thing that covers it up to their hair, and even if they put a plastic apron on and they had the face shield and the mask, and let's say they did rapid antigen testing, I'll guarantee that you could fill this whole Chifley Square up now with 100 hairdressers, and you probably get 1,000 people who are going to, you know, properly line up, properly space. If they're going to line up to go and get their injections, they'll line up here to get and space out properly to get their hair done. What about these sort of initiatives? They're pretty cool things. It actually makes us feel good. It's a good thing for the government to be participating in. The hairdressers or whoever would like to participate in it too. And it looks like we're doing something instead of just getting hit with a sledgehammer saying, stay home. A blunt instrument.
Mark, I'm sorry, we got to the end of that.